Hello, I'd like to talk to you about getting into position, finding your place and getting into position. I'm going to go through 3 sections here on the whiteboard, a very short session, and just try and help you understand a few little tools and tricks that might help you to understand more about who you are, what you can contribute and where you can best function. Let's begin by looking at our life journey. Most of us start with a point A, shall we call it, and we're moving towards point B. We think that's a linear journey, straight line more or less, but it's not. Carl Jung said, the philosopher said, we circle ourselves, circumambulation he called it. We circle ourselves over time. So if we looked at that journey in a vertical, we might say, well, we start off with big circles, 20, 30 years old, and over time we tighten those circles as we come to understand ourselves a little bit better through the passage of time. So it's like a sense of discovery. We start off on this journey, we think it's going to be a straight line, it never really is, and we circle ourselves. So over time we come closer to who we are in our very core and our very central being, who we were designed to be, your DNA almost. You might call it your destiny. So here we are, over time, circling ourselves. If we looked at that on a north-south kind of freeway, we might say, well, okay, we start off in this, what we think will be a straight line, a freeway, but we actually take what I call the scenic route. Now, if you look at the Israelites in the wilderness, they meandered and wandered for 40 years. They doubled back on themselves. Look at the map. They doubled back, they crossed over, they got lost, whatever, and they had different camp points. And at each camp point there was a name, and that name signified what they'd learnt before they moved on. Some people didn't move on. Some people camped, stayed stationary, didn't want to go on. Some people wanted to go back. A lot of people went forward. This was the scenic route. We all take the scenic route. So what takes us across to these distraction points? Well, the wrong friends, the wrong locations, the wrong projects, the wrong causes, the wrong ambitions. We might have a mixture of these things through our life which actually lead us away from who we were designed to be, what our best version of ourselves could be. So we take a time to discover this, and over time these diversions, these distractions, these detours become less amplified, and that relates back to this idea of circling ourselves. So that's what happens. However, when we cross these points here, when we cross the freeway, there is an excitement, an engagement, a point of convergence where we actually become really activated and really involved in what we're doing. We actually feel we're tapping into ourselves. They're few and far between. They might only be 4 or 5 times in our adult life, but they are the points of convergence where we're actually finding out and discovering almost by accident who we are. And if you look at it another way, you say, well, okay, in our life we have these moments where we see through the day-to-day, we see through the metaphysical, when we actually get a glimpse into something that's higher, a higher kind of understanding of who we are and who we were designed to be. This is a scroll or a destiny. This is how you were designed. This is the very heart of who you were. But we're so caught up in this day-to-day. And by the way, if I can keep you distracted, if I can keep you caught up with being in survival mode, or fascinated and concerned about or afraid of being kept safe, for example, or being able to meet your daily living costs, if I can keep you caught and boxed in that space, you will never look up. You will never see what's a better version of you awaiting to be discovered. So these are these moments here when we cross the line where we actually find out who we are. And we get an opportunity to discover that, but some of us miss it. Some of us don't see it. There's a great scene in The Chosen, series 2 I think it is, where they're in the old city of Jerusalem, and he's looking. The guy's been healed from his injury at the well. He comes up and his brother is about to take out an assassination on the Roman, and he happens to glance down the side alley, just happens to glance. And he sees his brother who's just been healed. He can't believe it. And he glances down and he puts his knife away and he goes after his brother. There's a moment there where he gets a glimpse, but he had to be looking to see it. And we don't often look. We get caught up and we get distracted and we take the scenic route. So here we are. What can we do about this? What can we change in the way we live and the way we go about our life to be a better version of ourselves? Come back in a second, I'll show you a little model which might help you. Okay, we've been talking about how we circle ourselves in our journey and who we were designed to be, and there are moments where we really engage with perhaps our central being. Let's look at how that might work in the practical. Here we have an axis, which I'm going to call skills, talents, expertise. We layer up over time a level of skills and expertise and talent. We build them up over time. It's almost alluvial. We start off perhaps as a teacher and we train a teacher, and then we move off, we get more skills, we go to another school, we might go overseas, we might do some courses, do some more reading, etc., and we build these skills up over time. We all do it. Doesn't matter whether you're a teacher or a nurse, or investment banker, home repairs, whatever, you actually acquire and develop your skills over time in the marketplace. And here we are, we're at point, say, 6. Let's call it a 6. On this axis, and I'm going to change colours to purple, because purple is passion. On this axis, we've got the passion. Now, again, 1 through to 10. Where are you on the passion axis? You might be a teacher and you're going through a job and you say, well, I'm probably at maybe a 3. I'm doing the job, 6 in skills, 3 in passion, so you're at that point. That's the intersection of your skills and passion. But there's something within you where when you cross that freeway that we talked about before, where you got really excited, you knew you were in flow, you knew you were at the place you were meant to be, but you're not every day. You're kind of caught up just being a teacher, or being a nurse, or being a banker, or whatever. So what we've got to do is look to see if we can move that way, along the passion axis. So here we go across the passion axis towards maybe let's call it a 7. So now we've got 6 and 7. We're at this point. And in fact, what we might do is take our skills up to a 7, and it's a 7-7. So that's what we need to do over time. So the question is, what will lift your passion? What will get you more excited? So you need to sit down with yourself and say, am I prepared to move forward and to be at a point of risk, putting myself into a new place, a new space, and actually being really passionate about what I do on the day-to-day. Jordan Peterson talks about how the fool is the precursor to the hero. Are you prepared to be a fool? Are you prepared to put yourself out there? Are you prepared to take a risk? Or do you want to stay and play safe? And what we've seen in the world in the last 2 years is, I will keep you safe. I will keep you safe. The government will keep you safe. You don't have to be at risk anymore. We've got you. I will keep you in that box, and you won't actually ever get to pursue your destiny because you're more concerned with survival, being safe, and being accepted. You're not being prepared. You're not prepared to be the fool. So are you prepared to be a fool? Are you prepared to put yourself out? Are you prepared to pursue the things that you were designed to do? Because right in the heart of who you are, there's motivational gifts, there's talents, there's expertise, and there's a passion. Here's the thing. Sit down, have a conversation with yourself, perhaps with a trusted friend, and say, how do you see me? When have you seen me most alive? When have you seen me most engaged? Do you know who I am on the inside? Do you understand what I get excited about? Can I tell you about that? Because there are moments, going back to that freeway, when you cross that freeway, there were moments of convergence where you came alive, and that's the person you have to become. That's the person you have to move towards. Where would you find that? Where would that person live, and what would that person be doing? Because the research shows that people regret what they didn't do. Not what they did do and the risks they took if they failed, but what they didn't do. They get to 80 and they're on their deathbed, 85, and they say, do you have any regrets? And the person says, yeah, I do. I have regrets that I didn't do X, I didn't do Y, I didn't do Z. I had an opportunity to do them, but I passed it up. I wish I had done that. So people have regrets for what they didn't do, not for what they did do. What would you like to do? Who would you like to be? I'm going to propose to you that you have to be this person, the person where you're fully engaged, fully passionate, and you're activated. And right now, boy oh boy, do we need people who are on the wall, activated, and in position. So thanks for listening. Catch you next time.